Stand up. Sir.
Big crowd today.
Some people, others, I am. Yeah, he doesn't solve one today on the open democratic position. I got a call.
Oh, bees.
It is. I got a call last Wednesday from the governor's office. I asked me, and I apologize, you've got a stupid executive director, because I didn't write down the name of the person that they were meticulous.
They appreciate it, weren't you?
Yeah,
Okay.
they gave me a name and they said, well, she does this, does this, does this. And I said, well, the only concern I have is if she is a registered lobbyist,
Right.
that's. Based on, it wasn't it was some sort of a 501c. And so it was outside of state government, it was something like, but it was, there was that possibility at least. And so I said, that's,
Yeah, because we're not allowed to be registered.
Yeah.
no, right. And I said, if the person was bad, that would be an issue. Other than that, based on what they told me, it wasn't, I forgot to write down the names. And I didn't get the area statement. But when I talked with them, they were talking about moving relatively quickly last Wednesday. I said, well, if you could hold off until Thursday, only because if you did something on Monday or Tuesday, technically that person would have to.
Right.
Today. Not, with all due respect to you, but it was like, that can be, we've had that situation occur before where they do it right before a meeting and it's like,
I was one.
Yeah.
Right. It was right before and I was on vacation.
yeah, exactly. And so it was like, oh, yeah, okay. that would be- So I talked with them about doing it today. So I'll keep an eye out on that kind of stuff. And so it's possible. It's possible.
Chris, what's our Wi-Fi password up here? Ohio.
The first Oliver teacher would get like a smoke day phone call saying. Yeah, just the first, it's all one word.
So here's what I have a question about. Should we start?
Well, depends on the nature of your questions again.
Well, here's what I think is silly, and maybe it doesn't matter what I think. Let's just be honest. But I think, so here's what's silly. So Charlene and I both came in 19. She was fulfilling someone's term. I wasn't. They just took that long to appoint somebody.
Right.
So then, when we get the new Democratic, commissioner, they're gonna be, what, a year or almost a year? So I'm like, why don't they start the 5 years from when
Once they're
that
triggered.
person, yeah, because you came in a little later.
April.
It just seems crazy to me because it took them almost a year to appoint me to have Charlene fill that position. I mean, I think that your 5 years should start from the time that you actually signed in.
There you go thinking.
I know.
That's the same way they do the legislature, and that's probably why, just
Well,
like
if you,
fill an unexpired term,
right,
that is not your term.
Right.
Right.
You're
Right.
then you start
because
your term then.
right, when like you, from Mr. Caraway, since you two pointed yourselves out, you were appointed to a term that expires on a specific date.
Right, which I think is crazy because,
That's, and that's, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but when they created the commission, they created these 7 positions so that they all ended on specific dates.
Right.
And when you're appointed to those positions, you're appointed to the term ending X. And that's it.
And our commissions actually have the predecessors naming on them.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure when they designed this, they didn't anticipate it taking a year to make the
No.
nominations. They didn't count.
I'm thinking, I think about taking the election.
I mean.
I'm thinking about taking the election.
There
Chris.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure they did not, but isn't that crazy that it does?
Ordered
it. Okay,
Here,
so,
I'm gonna be.
well, I just think. Okay, so it is 10:05. At this time, I'd like to call the November 30th, 2023 meeting of the Ohio Elections Commission to order. Mr. Ricker, will you take the roll, please?
Mr. Lott. President. Ms. Hagan.
That's not.
Mr. Knight? Here. Mr. Folke? There. Mr. Carroll? Present. Vice Chair Morris?
Here.
Chair Kaufman?
And then,
All members are present.
okay, first order of business is the approval of the regular meeting minutes of November 16, 2023. They've been circulated. Any corrections or additions?
I will just, there were two corrections that were pointed out to me by Mr. Knight. They both been made. They are in here. They were relatively minor. I left out a period. And in one of the things, somehow, I spelled the word declared with a capital D at the end, and it let it go by. I swear to you, I do spell check these before I send them out to you. And Chris also, I'm not trying to point a finger at Chris, but Chris looked at it as well. And somehow we both missed that one in the spell check mistake. But anyway, those have been corrected.
I didn't spell it wrong.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you just have to declare at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. This has been seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a preliminary review. It is case number 2023G021.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this complainant asserts that the respondent is using the official disclaimer on his campaign materials in the name of his committee. We got a response, and both of those, the complainant's response has been circulated to you. The respondent went into an explanation concerning the nature of Grant Avenue versus Grant Street, which somehow was pertinent to him. And then he talked about filing an updated designation of treasurer on October 16th, in the name of Friends of Mark Lund, which was the disclaimer that was being used. And he also included a statement that all official campaign business took place under the title of Friends of Mark Ludwig. And then, as I noted in my information to you, the complaint we received was on September 29th, and he didn't file the updated designation of treasurer until October 16th. So somehow I'm not sure how all of his business took place under the official name of Friends of Mark Ludwig, since it wasn't the official Friends of Mark Ludwig until October 16th. Anyway, my recommendation is to find violation and impose a fine of $50. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions that the commission may have.
Questions from commissioners? Hearing none, we have a motion.
I'll move the accepted drivers. Recommendation.
We have a motion on the floor to move the second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023G022-022.
Similar to the last case, this is a case that's a G designation only because he included some other provisions and just the disclaimer statute, but essentially it's a disclaimer complaint where certain campaign materials, yard signs, were being circulated, defining disclaimer designation. And the respondent just states that he remedied the violations as soon as he was made aware that he should have filed the DOT before circulating signs, and that the DOT was accepted by the board on October 2nd. And he created labels and without putting the signs, placed on the signs and taking care of the circumstances in as prompt a manner as possible. My recommendation is to find a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine. And the difference between this and the last one is this gentleman seemed to take responsibility and take care of everything prior to the commission even getting a complaint. And so I took that into consideration as part of my recommendation. So I'll be glad to answer any of the questions that the commission may have.
Questions from commissioners? Hearing none, we have a motion. Okay.
Hold on.
We'll have to.
Thank you.
From what?
So we just said that, okay.
I was.
There was probably a millisecond difference in the, I apologize.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next set of cases, the first one is a recommendation is to set the matter for a hearing. That is case number 2023R-424.
As I talk about this, I will also give you a preview of potential coming attractions. This was a referral that we received from the Franklin County Board of Elections concerning the committee for Judge Weiss, who passed away a couple of years ago. There's no the campaign committee was named, and the treasurer for that campaign committee was someone by the name of William Curlis. And so the board referred this along because they couldn't figure out how to deal with the situation considering what we've already gone through as it relates to Mr. Curlis. And so I'm recommending that we set the matter for hearing at this point so that I can send out a subpoena to get bank records and we'll see where it goes from there. And the reason why I said preview coming attractions, I had a lengthy discussion with a previous candidate in Franklin County. I don't want to disclose names at this point, who still has an open campaign committee in this county, but has moved to a different county and is anticipating running for an office in that county. And in my conversation with that gentleman, what I suggested to him was the possibility of filing a referral against himself or his campaign committee in an effort to declare the balance. And what he indicated was that his the amount that is outstanding in his campaign account is not that great compared to like what we've seen already, let's say with Stephanie Coonsey and Cordell Robertson.
And Mr. Curlis was this candidate's treasurer.
Mr. Curlis, he's this candidate's treasurer as well, and he potentially wants to run in a different county. And so before transferring his campaign committee from Franklin County to that county, he's going to come in and try and move a resolution forward. That may come before us in the Senate. And that would be the first potential many of the type of cases that we can end up seeing. Will be circumstances surrounding Mr. Curlis. But that's my plan as it relates to this particular case, is to subpoena bank records and hopefully move forward and find out what the status of that campaign is. I'm going to answer the question the commission may have.
Mr. Richter, Madam Chair, will we hear all of these cases involving Mr. Curlis at once? Or considering that the allegations are virtually the same, or will they all have to be separate hearings?
I don't know the answer to that right now, but part of my thinking is that they could be handled all at once.
It would be more efficient.
Yeah, depending on what is discovered. I haven't been able to follow up on it, but I asked Mr. Bry on behalf of Mr. Quincy has bank records. Mr. O'Brien does as well. And from talking to Mr. O'Brien, I think he indicated that Mr. Robertson's attorney has bank records as well. I've asked to have their, I've asked Mr. O'Brien if I have some more, and he's not done so yet. Very. Mr. Bry's office tried to send me a link to a file sharing place. But when I tried to log into that, I couldn't get in somehow. I was missing something. And I just haven't had a chance to call him back to get those records. But I'm wanting to get those records and move those things forward at some point. This will come back to me, essentially. I asked the bank to, when I sent out the subpoenas, I asked the bank to provide the information to me as well to do so. So I don't know specifically yet the answer to that question. I'm hopeful though that at least as it relates to those that are outstanding, we would be able to deal with those at one time, because the essential allegations are the same. And maybe we even, after they get all that information together, they work with Mr. Curlis's attorney and come to some sort of a resolution, shall we say, for all of those matters. But I haven't had this conversation yet. Thank you.
Good morning, Brian Katzen, Secretary of State's Office. May I add something or ask a question? As you are addressing these cases in the future, please be advised those are not the only ones. And so if you have some form of guidance you'd like to give to those other entities, whether it's yes, come before you, and so have them file complaints with you, or if there's a different remedy that you see appropriate, please make that determination. We will happily go along with it for those that perhaps have not made it your way yet. Thank you very much.
What I will say is when I have talked to anybody, that's one of the suggestions that I made is, potentially filing a self-referral, as we refer to it. Haven't seen any of those yet, aside from the one that we may be getting, but that's the suggestion that I've made potentially to the person, because the only real resolution to those matters.
Yes, we are in agreement that the only avenue right now to correct this is to come in front of you, and perhaps I have spoken with the same gentleman you're talking about right now. And so, but that is the only avenue that I'm aware of for the situation that is outstanding, but
Yeah.
so if you want them to keep coming your way, as there will be more, but just thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so are there any questions regarding the judge bias? Case that was just reviewed for us. Hearing none, do you have a motion?
Motion to accept the recommendation of the executive director and set the matter for hearing. Second.
Okay, motion on the floor, it's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is case number 2022R-456. Recommendation is to reconsider case number 2021R-380. Vacate the previous finding, consolidate the cases, and dismiss the consolidated matters as the board reports that the candidate has been out of the country and declare the committee terminated. Mr. Rickey?
Yeah, this and the next case, the next two cases, I'll point out. Again, we received information from the board that indicates that, after they made these referrals, they come into information that the candidate is either moved, in this case, out of the country. In the next cases that we have before us, is out of the state. And they've indicated there's no intent to return based on the information that they have discovered and provided to us. And so rather than continue these on, and considering the person appears to be otherwise out contact, and when we've sent out either certified mail notices or other notices that come back as undeliverable, I'm making these kind of odd recommendations that we, essentially dismiss the cases and declare the committee's terminated. And so I just feel like it's the most efficient thing to do as it relates to this case. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that the commission may have as it relates to potential disposition of this matter.
Any questions from commissioners?
Madam Chair, just one question. Mr. Richter, all of these cases that we would dismiss or terminate, there are no remaining funds, correct?
Honestly, I don't know. I did not ask that question on the board, of the staff on the board. So I don't specifically know that to be the case. I can look, let me try and look real quick. If this was Cuyahoga.
Where do the funds go if the case is terminated? And I understand the person's out of the country, but if they still have access, these are money in country.
There is that possibility. I can't say that that's not at least a possibility.
Recommendation, and maybe we should ask the legislature to let those funds go to the commission. That we're doing in service.
Yeah, my signature is Lucas. I'm looking at something. I thought I was. Lucas.
When we've done that. We was finding out the amount.
And I think that comes in. I agree.
Fair. So we could have something. There's no money reflected in the account. So as it relates to Mr. Meisinger, there is nothing in the account based on the last filing, which was an updated amended 2020 annual report.
Here, I make a recommendation of this by North.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries to the vote of 7-0. You're gonna be on the next one.
Yeah, I think I'm a boss.
I do the distance. Okay, while, Mr. Richter's looking at, I'm going to move to the cases that are suggested to be dismissed for failure of service. They are 2022 R-526, 2023 R-038, 2023 R-039, and 2023 R-040. So these are recommendations to be dismissed for failure of service. Questions? No questions, do we have a motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0.
For.
You want me to all start singing? You don't want me to start singing?
What happened in this once during, right? It was like a karaoke thing that just broke out. It was near Christmas time. It's very magical. So just bring those feelings back.
I don't know.
Yeah. And horrifying reaction.
I think Ernie's in a different, like he's probably a bass player.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's
So
dropped
we're
it.
gonna use that.
He's
for
dropped
advantage.
it.
There you go.
There was a state senator in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah, Joe.
He played Christmas.
Really? In his office? Oh, okay. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot of things when walking by other people's offices.
Rotunda's the new one though, right?
Yeah, the acoustics in the rotunda.
You were certainly.
Oh, is that
Is that his cubic trumpet? Yeah.
Yeah, he had a bit of a talent, because he played in a group at one time, yeah.
I couldn't find anything of him.
I remember if you go by like John Barnes' office, there was always like low jazz music playing, just like low jazz. I'm like, all right. I'm like, why not? And then obviously has sites, you know, choice words.
So the next, two cases, 2022 R-469 and 2023 R-423. The recommendation is to consolidate the cases, declare the committee terminated, and dismiss the cases. Mr. Director.
Yeah, I just looked on the Hamilton County's website through the two accesses that they have to, at least online, get information. There wasn't anything as it related to Ms. Bosser. It indicated, you know, the note that I got from them, as you can see, if you look at the ICWs of that, staff of the board, there's been the voting history for the last 5 years. It looked like what they said is they've gotten their information online only since like 2020 or 2019 forward, which would put this potentially outside that time frame. So I couldn't find anything online as it relates to those campaign committees. But I'm gonna stick with my recommendation just because I feel like it's the most efficient approach as it relates to these matters.
This question is pretty regular. So, prior case, they do not have the country. What is the reasoning on this one?
They moved out of the area. They have not had, not only have they not had any contact with them, they haven't had, there hasn't been any voting activity by this person in the last 5 years. They've reached out to her. You know, we've sent out notices and it hasn't come back, and they've also tried to reach out to her. And not been able to get any information back.
Or, but if, do we check the obituaries?
No, I do not. I could, but I have not done so.
Because I'm wondering if that's the case with no activity.
No.
One of the other.
Madam Chair, I'll move to accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
You have a motion on the floor that's been fully seconded. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is case number 2023R-054. The recommendation is to consolidate with case number 2022R-498. That was decided at the Commission's November 16th, 2023 meeting, and restate the violation and imposition of a $3,000 fine.
Yeah, I will offer for this and the next, after this, the next 3 recommendations, I'll offer an apology to everybody for not looking ahead and trying to recognize that these matters were out there when we dealt with them at the last meeting. The last meeting dealt with this case. And rather than making some sort of a new recommendation and imposing an additional sanction, I thought it appropriate to just go ahead and essentially consolidate these matters with the prior cases that were decided on November 16th. And so that's the nature of my recommendation here as it relates to item number 46, case 2023-R54. And again, it will be the same for the next 30 cases after this.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is case number 2023R-056. Recommendations to consolidate with case numbers 2023R-499 and 2022R-500 that was decided at the Commission's November 16th, 2023 meeting, and restate the violation and imposition of a fine of $11,375 plus $25 a day with reconsideration options. Question on this?
Yeah, my explanation is the same as it was previously. We dealt with those other 2 cases last meeting.
I'll move the recommendation of the attorney.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. The same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023R-061. Recommendations consolidate with case number 2022R-505 that was decided at the Commission's November 16, 2023 meeting. To restate the violation and imposition of a fine of $45,500 plus $100 a day with reconsideration option. Do we have a motion?
We accept or should we accept the director?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023R-064. Recommendation is to consolidate with case numbers 2023R-409 and 2022R-50 that was decided at the Commission's November 16, 2023 meeting, and restate the violation and imposition of a fine of $45,500 plus $100 a day with reconsideration option. Do you have a motion?
Go right ahead.
Recommendation of the executive. Executive director.
Take one of the position.
We have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next group is the Good Cause Group. They are cases number 2022R-530, 2022R-548, and 2022R-597. Mr. Rick.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the circumstances when the report was filed, it was generally filed, the first two cases at least, was filed within a week to 10 days, 2 weeks of the due date for filing. And a response has been submitted in the commission. As it relates to item number 28, the third one down there, it was filed. Beyond that time frame, as I recall. November of 2022 to February of 2023. But in the response, it talked about how it took longer to accumulate necessary information and health issues as it related to her father-in-law and her, that distracted her, I guess for want of a better phrase. And so I took that into consideration and made that as part of my recommendation to find that there's good cause in this particular case. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Questions of Mr. Richter?
And these are all first time.
So,
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with the vote of 7-0. The next case is case number 2023R-2027, excuse me. Recommendation is to consolidate with case number 2023R-160, find a violation but for good cause.
Again, I guess you could hit me with serious medical issues, explanation, and I react to it. In this particular case, this is an additional set of circumstances, or additional referrals. But again, they filed their reports. It was within about 2 weeks of the due date for filing. But the explanations given were that both the candidate and the treasurer had medical emergencies that kept them from timely filing the reports. And so I'm recommending that we consolidate these matters, find a violation, but for good cause, no one comes to quality.
Questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second. We have a motion on the floor, it's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried with a vote of 7-0. Next case is 2021S-025. Recommendation is to reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate the previous findings, consolidate all cases, find a violation, but for good cause, impose no fine and declare the committee terminated.
Yeah, and I just had a conversation with the listed treasurer for this committee, and I don't know if Mr. Katz wants to have further comment on this. He emailed me earlier in the week when this case was coming up. We had this set for a hearing, but we kind of put it under just preliminary reviews. I had a lengthy conversation a while ago with the ex-husband member and the candidate who's moved out of state with no intent to return. There's no money in the committee, so it was totally self-funded. But this was a situation where they had accusations about the campaign consultant or something along those lines. But the treasurer and the candidate was primarily dealing with it. Jerry Farrell was the name of the gentleman. I just talked to him again this morning and indicated what my recommendation was in an effort to try and get this resolved and get it done over with. Seems very sincere as it relates to my conversation with him, indicating that treasurer was a first-time candidate, didn't really know what she was doing. He volunteered to act as treasurer when they were married at the time. And so, based on my conversation with him And again, thinking that the best option for finally resolving this matter was to make the recommendation that I have as it relates to finding a violation for good cause, not imposing a fine, and then declaring the committee terminated based on the circumstances that have been outlined between the response that they originally received from Ms. Smith way back when, and the updates that I've gotten from Mr. Farrell, the ex-husband. I don't know if Mr. Katz wanted to have any additional comments as it relates to this. Certainly, it's a Secretary of State referral. But based on my conversations, I'm comfortable with the recommendation I've made.
Thank you, Brian Katz from the Secretary of State's office again. So the Secretary of State's office would object to the committee just being let off the hook for violations. We're talking about a candidate that was on the ballot, did file a pre-general report back in 2018 with what I'd call a terrible filing. And so they reported $150 in contributions, $42,000 in expenditures, except they didn't say anything about where that money actually went. They then reported a loan to the candidate in the amount of roughly $42,000. But that is the only information the voters of Ohio have received about this committee. I have now heard through others that perhaps the husband was the one who gave this money that was spent. But as the treasurer, he's responsible for ensuring that this money gets into the bank account and then is properly spent and accounted for. And the idea that a consultant could just somehow have stolen your money, that you gave him $42,000 or more and have no records whatsoever is just should not be acceptable for a good cause shown, no fine. We do not object at all to this committee being terminated as they have not run for office again, as far as we are aware, since 2018 and have no further activity. But just the idea that they ran for office and then completely failed to file any reports, not make any amendments whatsoever, especially if the treasurer is the one who funded the race, they can very easily report themselves as the contributor and then say where the money that they personally gave to somebody else was spent. But the idea that you just get to not file campaign finance reports in Ohio should not be tolerated. Thank you very much. Oh, please, sorry.
So the $42,000, the treasurer is saying that they contributed the 42, or that the wife, the candidate, contributed. They were married at the time, correct?
That's the understanding that I have, and he's indicated a little bit of both, I guess is what I would say, is that the funding came from she got some money from her mother and put it in that way, and that he also put money in, but that it was essentially self-funded. That's what he indicated to me in my conversation with him.
But, and then I put Mr. Katz in the chair. So no record of what the money was spent on, and the mother's name being the one given as contributing to the campaign.
So the only contributor listed is Eswar Josula in the amount of $150. So unless that is his mother, that's it. So they did not properly file a pre-general report. They reported $150 coming in, they didn't even itemize out the expenditure. They just wrote on, they would have had to have written on a piece of paper because you can't file electronically without providing any information. So this would have had to have been a paper filing and just listed that they had expenditures in the amount of $42,941.06, which then obviously leaves a negative balance on hand of $42,000, very close to that. But the only contributor is Eswar Josula for $150.
Candidate for
State rep. I guess somewhere in the Dayton area, somewhere. I'm not sure that's where.
And not that necessarily matters, but I view a candidate for the legislature a little different than I do for township trustee, for example, in the level of expectations of what should be, right's right, wrong's wrong, regardless of what level of government you're running for. But someone running for a seat in the legislature, there is an obligation to hold yourself a little higher. in my view.
But I respect that and I understand that, and that can oftentimes be the case. We've had this other person that has an outstanding matter that's not on the agenda for today. That Mr. Hughes and I have both had conversation with over the last few days, who was running for state rep. And it would call into question your general assumption, let's put it that way. Based on the nature of the conversation with her and the fact that the Secretary of State's office is not understanding her quite well. Is one of the explanations that we've been given. And yeah, and it's just kind of scary sometimes when you think of it. I think you are correct in what should be the case.
This is fair.
But that's not necessarily always the case.
Sure, just one other question to Mr. Richter on this case. So was on the filing, was there evidence that there was a loan given by the candidate to herself? She may not have expressed
No.
where she got the 42,000. So we don't even know that there was a loan, but there was expenditures.
Correct. No, I'm not aware of it. I see.
So I happen to be looking at our 2018 pre-general report where she reported a loan to, oh, I'm sorry, her treasurer reported on her behalf a loan to herself on January 16th, 2018 in the amount of $42,941.06.
So we have no visibility to see, since she has not filed anything else after that.
Correct.
Okay, so we don't know if that loan was repaid to herself. You don't know where the money went because obviously she didn't report any expenditures. I mean, I am of the mind, I don't know, obviously, one person, but I feel like there should be some kind of fine imposed. Or just general lack of any kind of information that's been relayed on. Because I know sitting here, we have people that, you know, or who have helped people buy.
I have a question for Madam Chair for Mr. Richter. So in this situation where she's out of state and we have no jurisdiction, is then the treasurer the person who's responsible?
Yes.
Essentially.
And who was the treasurer?
Her husband, but he apparently is.
Her husband.
Oh, okay. He's in town, right?
He's in state, let's put it that way. I don't have it right here in front of me. If I look in the file, I can see where it was, but it's somewhere over in the Davie area. Where he is from.
So can't we have him fill out the forms? I see what you say. He says there's no records, but.
And he could go to
He could.
a bank.
Right.
To the bank and get the records of who they wrote the checks to, right? Is that where you're going with?
I tend to agree with Mr. Kansas.
I think I do too.
Okay, and one thing that I will say is, in my conversation with Mr. Frank, one of what my recommendation would be, I said that, you know, he wanted to attend, or he's talked about attending, but couldn't make it today. I said, then, you know, we would continue the matter if you aren't going to accept my recommendation. And we can put it back again, let's say in January even, and nothing even necessarily be filed in the intervening period, but he could come and attend a future commission meeting. And, you know, then be, you know, he could then address the commission at that point. So I would recommend that we just continue it if we're going to take any other action.
And Mr. Richter, in your conversations with Mr. Smith, I assume?
No, Mr. Farrell.
Mr. Farrell, okay. It may be helpful in the interim, if he were to obtain those records and file amendments to his, you know, his filing, and this, in theory, would be cleaned up.
Can certainly suggest that.
I would heavily suggest that, if possible. Need a motion, Madam
I
Chair?
believe, do we need to move to continue this?
Or you can,
I don't know at this point, though, since we discussed it, there's a motion.
then you could still just go ahead.
All right. Then take my power and use it to continue.
Grabbed it all back.
This case to. What's our first January meeting?
18.
January 18th of 2024. So, there we go.
So let it be written. So that we down.
Just thinking, it's nice, besides, there's been.
That's true.
Months or.
Last year.
Yeah. What this one, Secretary of State.
So 70. All right, so we are gonna go out of order, in the effort to make Mr. Katz stay a little bit more convenient or streamlined. So the next case we're gonna do is 2021 S-005. The recommendation is to reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate the previous findings, consolidate all cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $300 and declare the committee terminated. Mr. Jerry.
Madam Chair, members.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put belongers. Ms. Shepherd does hers.
I
don't know the answer to that. The treasurer reached out to secretary's office for terminating some parties, not offering any objection. I can see that. They reached out to us. We haven't really received anything else from them. And so in an effort, again, just trying to somewhat efficiently deal with this, I'm recommending that it be terminated. But then we find a violation of close to fine of $300. Certainly Mr. Katz can further comment as it relates to this pending matter.
Thank you. The Secretary's office has no objection to the Executive Director's recommendation.
Questions after Commissioners?
So moved.
Right. We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carried with a vote of 7-0. The next case is case number 2021 S-054. Recommendations to find a violation and impose a fine of $635.68.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we did receive I'm sorry. We haven't received any response or any other filings from candidate here. We transferred his committee from the secretary's office to Belknap County. But you know, we report to the secretary's office and looking at what the secretary's office reflected, it showed a balance in that account of $635.68. And there's an audit committee in Delaware County. Okay, what the status of that committee was, but I think it was current as I looked at the filings. And so my recommendation here is based on the fact that it's been presumably properly transferred to Delaware County as a candidate can do and filed reports there. But I'm recommending that we find violation and impose a fine the amount that was reflected in the committee's account when it last filed a report with the secretary's office, which is $635.68. Ready to answer any other questions the commission may have, and certainly the commission will hear from Mr. Katz.
Thank you. The Secretary's office has no objection to the Executive Director's recommendation.
What year was this? Just 2018 was when the last report was filed in the secretary's office, and he double check. I know I looked at Delaware County because that's where, you know,
Failure to file 19 semi-annual, 2020.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't, yeah.
And 2020 annual reports.
Sorry, John, I could have,
No, all right. I have it right here.
I mean, generally when candidates transfer from their state, you know, to a local BOE, they're planning on seeking local office at some point. Be interesting because so much time has elapsed and he hasn't been a candidate in the years with himself. I'd also be surprised to know if there weren't benefits for $635.
Over that period of time, I'm sure there were.
Probably got like $2 left.
That's a real possibility, but that was the last thing
Yeah.
there. And, you know, Mr. Katz can certainly tell me differently. But normally if there's a transfer from one county to another, that's reflected somehow in either in the campaign finance reporting system of the Secretary's office and the and Delaware County, all the
So he did just run for city council up in Delaware. We filed this in July of 2021. As of that time, he had not transferred from our office. I'll be honest, I didn't check this morning to see if we have received notice from Delaware County that he filed there. If he shows as active on our website right now, then we have not received anything. Whereas if we had received a designation of treasurer filed at Delaware, they will forward it to us.
Yeah,
And then we will be able to mark them as having moved from us to them.
and you said he did run for a local office.
He has a Facebook page talking about his run for Delaware City Council First Ward.
yeah, City Council First Ward, and it shows a balance in that account of a pre-general filing in this last election, because they haven't met file posted of $1,110.95 in the account in Delaware County.
Madam Chair, I will move to accept the executive director's recommendation, find a violation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Post same sign, motion carries with a vote of 7-0.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Kennis. Okay. The next case.
Go back.
Yeah. The next group is the $500. Yeah. Me as a snake, you know? Watch it. Anyway, next is a $50 fine category, and they are cases 2022 R-552, 2022 R-563. The next draw 2023 R-011, 012, 053, 076, and 080.
These, Madam Chair, members of the commission, these are all circumstances where the committee has filed a report. A response was submitted to the commission giving an explanation as to why the report was not timely. And the report was filed beyond a week to 10 days to 2 weeks after the due date for that respective filing. And so my recommendation, this is not a violation, of going to fine at $50.
Questions from commissioners? Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor, this is really seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next group is the $100 fine category. They are cases 2022 R-542, 2022 R-562, 2022 R-565. The next are all 2023 R-046, 047, 063, 069, and 099.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, excuse me, these are circumstances where the report has been filed, no response has been submitted to the commission with you, actually, the circumstances, no response has been submitted to the commission, providing an explanation of why the report was not signed and filed. And so my recommendation is fund violation, opposed to fine $100.
Questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Right, we have motions to do a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is the $150 fine category 2022 R-535.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is a circumstance where the report has been filed. No response has been submitted to the commission with information in which the commission found violation because of the fine of $50. And so my recommendation now is to find violations and impose a fine of $150. There's no responses.
Questions? Hearing none, we have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Right, we have motions from duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next group of cases is the $200 fine category. They are cases 2022 R-441 and 2023 R-068.
Two different explanations on these. The first case, for the commission, there's a prior case in which the commission found a violation, imposed $100 fine that was paid. Now the person is back again. The report was filed, but no response was submitted to the commission. And so I don't know what else the circumstances were, so I was simply doubly fined this time around to fine violation of place for $200. As a release, item number 54, 2023 R-068. Maybe early in mid-September, I began getting telephone calls from unnamed persons who were questioning the fact that Mr. Perkins had outstanding issues before the commission in which we made violations and imposed fines that hadn't been resolved. And obviously, it's becoming a campaign issue. He's somewhere up in Cleveland area, so we've had to reclaim the referral. Mr. Perkins came into the office, brought himself up to date and paid his outstanding fine amounts, $300. We indicated that to him at the time. There's still another matter outstanding, that needed to be resolved. He did file a report. And so based on his, the fact that he did come into compliance, that he did get all the filings made, and he brought himself into compliance, and gave an explanation to the commission. My recommendation here is to find violation and impose a $200 fine. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions that the commission may have.
What did you say his previous fine amount was?
$300.
$300.
So his goodwill, his
Previous efforts.
his efforts to take care of his compliance issues, pay his fines, you kind of reduced.
Yes.
So he was consolidated from 700 and he paid 3.
Yep. Because that was the last finding, for you to say, that we made against him.
Mr. Nunn. Mr. Nunn.
I don't know, this kind of goes back to the rubric thing. I mean, where people call in and have a hardship case we'll let them off the hook for only $50 after years of, negligence. And, here's a guy who came in, did good on his fines. The report's now been filed and we're finding another 200. I guess it just feels. It just feels there's some unfairness to how we approach things. That's all. And that bugs me.
In all seriousness, do you have a recommendation? Do you have a motion that you'd like to make that maybe is not? That is different than what the executive director had recommended?
I mean, I would recommend you going down to $50, to be honest. Given the recent activity and then the reports are not filed, right? Because done in compliance.
He has.
So I would recommend dropping down to our lowest level fine of $50. That's one opinion.
And he also terminated, correct? Like everything he's done.
He's
Terminated, yeah.
And that's only for 68.
Correct. Yeah, I'm going to pop for this.
Correct.
Posted. I'll recommend that for 2023 R-068 that we impose a fine. We find a violation, impose a fine of $50.
I'm Chairman Board. And was second. So Mr. Perkins is terminating?
It's terminated.
Okay.
Yeah, terminating the committee in July and is down to finance.
The only discussion I have with respect to the motion that's been made. This candidate had previous violations. Yes, they brought their campaign up to E. But we always find those other people larger than just the minimum amount. When they've had previous violations within 5 years, 7 year window.
Technically, it should be 500.
Right.
Well, he did pay $300 though. So he did, of the $700, he paid $300. So. Because we reconsidered those cases and said we reconsider with the payment of $300. Okay, so we did reconsider. Those other cases kind of are, have been taken care of because we did reconsider if he paid the $300 fine. So now this case, he's back before us with a recommendation of $200. So
Just so I'm clear though, what I'm looking at, so he paid a fine of $150 and $19 that he paid. He paid a fine of $250.
No, the 250 was what I kind of, the last fine, the
So I'm trying
last
to figure this out.
one we made was in April of 22, where we found a violation and imposed a $300 fine. That's what he paid. That would have been, I would have considered that as part of taking care of the 21 case as well.
So that included the $150 and the $250?
Correct.
Oh, because you got them both marked paid.
so consolidated.
Yes.
So they were all taken care of with the payment of the $300.
I'm with you. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
And then there's.
And now we have the other one. So
And so it's kind of a matter of, as I'm, just kind of saying, okay, you move forward, you've taken care of some of your outstanding issues, but you're still brought before us again. And so, that's, that's coming in, that's part of my logic as I go through, trying to figure out what recommendation to make on a matter, and that's what I'm coming up with. I mean, take into consideration, you've dealt with some of the issues in the past, made that payment, and now you're back again on a matter that's before us.
But you brought that matter into compliance, right?
He brought everything in.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I guess my general perspective is, I think the commission should consider, in my opinion, some policy changes or how we view things. I personally think that, we've talked about our goal being compliance versus punitive. So, I come from the perspective of wanting to reward those who step up and come into compliance and pay their historical fines as opposed to, having these things go to be huge numbers and then we have a fall from the Board of Elections with a sad story of somebody who just can't afford to do all this and well, we'll get rid of it for $50. I just can't, I have a hard time reconciling these two, and yeah, we find people more or less, and that's how we've done it, but I would love to see the commission start rewarding good behavior, almost giving somebody, I mean, if you go and you pay your fines and you come into compliance, maybe it's not a clean slate, but it's close. I'd much rather have that behavior than the people who ignore us for years, right? So anyway, that's my opinion, recommendation.
I would agree with that if they didn't turn around and have another violation, because they're not compliant. And
But they are compliant, is my understanding.
no, this is another case.
But I thought you brought that into, I thought you said, Mr. Director, that you brought this one into compliance.
Yeah, it is in compliance, yes.
Okay,
It was a part of what he had done previously,
okay.
but this was an outstanding matter. Let know that this was still an outstanding matter.
Which you then brought into compliance.
Not then, he had taken care of it all as part of the prior bill. As a part of the prior filings, I should say, not a part of the prior.
Okay, I guess let me ask a different one. Is he out of compliance anything at this point?
No. Reports have been filed. Reports have been filed. That has all been resolved. But he came into us at first and said, hey, I want to deal with these things that were out in the past. Okay, fine, here's what you need to do. He did that. And he had already made all of his findings. We said, well, we still have an outstanding case that's not been resolved yet, that will come back before the commission. And I think at that point, when he came in, we told him it was going to be on November 30th. Okay, and so that will be resolved. I will still have to make a recommendation on it. So here is now my recommendation that takes into consideration the efforts that he has undertaken in the past, the fact that he did let things go before he took resolved everything as it were prior to the election. And now is back here again, with this. And so that, my recommendation, takes, I look at it as my recommendation takes into the fact that he did resolve all those other things, but he did have other things. And this was, still outstanding at the time, when he did resolve those other matters.
And so with that, with that, had he not come in and paid to clear up those previous cases that were combined, we could have just added this last case to it, correct? You couldn't have done that on your own. You would still have to bring it back to the commission. And then we take a chance whether he came in and paid, but we could have combined all of the cases because they were all outstanding at that point, correct?
Yeah, well, except we had made a determination of those cases. He just hadn't resolved them by making it fine. So I mean, that's the difference. The commission has made a determination. Here, there is, and I mean, I certainly could have looked at it and said, okay, I could say, let's, go to cause because the other matters have been resolved. But I didn't feel like his efforts up to that point had been justified that type of recommendation. I also didn't feel like it justified doubling the fine as we sometimes will do. So to a degree, I picked $200 out of the hat because I felt like I had to make some recommendation. I could have picked up $50. I could have done a little bit more. There's a variety of options. This is the recommendation that I made based on, kind of taking into consideration all the factors.
I just had a quick comment. I tend to agree with Ernie on this just because he terminated his committee also. So I think he took it actually to the next level and said, hey, I don't want this coming in front of you anymore. I'm going to terminate it. I think, I actually believe he will pay, whether it's 50 or 200, but I would happen to $50. And what really pushed me was the fact he terminated that.
Madam Chair, I'll second Mr. Knight's motion. I believe we have a second.
You could be on.
So we have a motion on the floor to the second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. So motion carries with a vote of 6-1. So we still need a motion on case number 2022 R-441, which is
I move we accept the recommendations of the director on 2022 R-1.
and I'll do a second. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 71. I'm sorry. 7-0, sorry.
Long day.
It's something. Okay, the next approved is the $250 fine category. We have one case. It's 2022 R-435. Mr. Richter.
There was a prior matter that the commission imposed, found a violation of both party and fine, because the report was not filed. At this point now, this report has been filed. It's the prior report. Consideration being filed as well. So my recommendation is to reconsider the prior case, vacate the finding there, consolidate these cases, find a violation, impose a fine of $250. And that is the same explanation I can use on the next matter as well, because it's. He's get 435.
Well, I said 435.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I skipped.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
I was gonna ask you, Mr. Richard, to put.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Pronounce your name.
Chukwu.
All right, it's close.
There's a prior violation in which the report was filed, the commission imposed the fine. Thought it was $100. I was looking at that before and forgotten already.
Don't try and trick me.
Yeah, that fine has not been paid, the $100 fine imposed in April this year, for failure to file. Last it was annual, here is for, it was originally for failing to file a request on addendum that was actually filed in October. And so my recommendation here is find a violation, impose a fine of $250. So
Questions of Mr. Richter?
I'm out of time.
Okay. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for case number 2022 R-435. That's originally seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. All right, the next case is 2023 R-051. The recommendation is to reconsider case number 2022 R-496, vacate the finding, consolidate the cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $250. I believe we've heard that explanation.
Yeah, I started to explain it. It was a prior, was a further violation. The reports have now been filed. And what I was getting ahead of myself, was that these next two cases were similar in that regard. We finding and impose a further fine, in not only this case, but the next one. And so I'm recommending that we reconsider the last one, consolidate these matters, and impose a fine of $250, as it relates to this and the next matter. Now, you can take it separately, but that's, my explanation is the same.
Questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023 R-078. The recommendation is to reconsider Case number 2022R-242, vacate the finding, consolidate the cases, find the violation and impose a fine of $250. Do we have a motion?
It's the same as this last explanation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is the $400 fine category. It is 2022R-511. Mr.
In this particular case, there were a couple of priors. The last one was decided in December 2020 was commissioned by the violation of a $200 fine. Well, we're back again. The report has been filed. Considering the priors, there was no response submitted to the commission, so I don't have that on which to make a different or better potentially recommendation. And so based on the priors, the fact that no response has been submitted, but the report has been filed, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $400.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023R-081. The recommendation is to reconsider case number 2022R-246, vacate the finding, consolidate the cases, find the violation, and impose a fine of $750.
The difference between the others where we're consolidating matters, just there are more progress as it relates to this particular gentleman, and there are many more outstanding cases. But in this particular case, the report was filed in September. And so in that regard, he's come into compliance. And so my recommendation reflects the fact that the reports are filed and give them the opportunity to have these matters consolidated and impose one particular fine instead of having outstanding matters. I'll be glad to answer any other questions that the commission may have.
Questions for Mr. Richter? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For the same sign, motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2022R-512. The recommendation is reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate the previous findings, consolidate all cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $1,000.
There are a variety of cases outstanding as it relates to this particular matter. Just trying to get us in a situation where, the reports have now been filed. And so the committee is back into compliance. I thought the best approach was imposing one particular fine now based on all the outstanding matters, and hopefully they'll get themselves into further resolution or further compliance in the future. But answer the question the commission may have.
Questions? Hearing none, we have a motion.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion on, do we have a second? Second. All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. Next group is the $25 daily reconsideration option. They are case numbers 2022R-460, 2022R-553, 2022R-578, 2023R-010, 2023R-075, and 2023R-08.
Madam Chairman, the commission generally matters where reports have been outstanding. The reports are outstanding. Generally speaking, it's the first time that the respondent has been before the commission. And so my recommendation is to find a violation and impose further than the fine time of $5 per day, give them an opportunity to have the matter reconsidered. In some cases, we may have had a prior finding, maybe one prior case. But in this case, with the report still being outstanding, we'll impose per diem fine until the matter is resolved. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may ask.
Any questions for Mr. Richter? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, with a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. Next group of cases, recommendations, $25 a day fine with reconsideration option with payment of $250. They are cases 2022 R-473. The rest will be 2023 R- and we have 023, 032, 037, and 052. Mr. Revere.
These are matters where there, prior finding in a matter before the commission. I believe it was a per diem fine of $25 per day. Now they're back again. The report is still not been filed. And so it's kind of the next phase of my recommendations is to find violation of the $25 per day fine. Given the opportunity to have a matter reconsidered, they made a payment of $250.
Questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2022 R-560. The recommendation is a $25 decline with reconsideration option with a payment of $1,000.
The last time this gentleman before the commission, he actually had filed his report. And we imposed a fine of $500, but it's $550. That fine has not been paid, back again. This time the report has not been paid, it's been filed. And so my recommendation, it's in both fine, pretty fine, $25 per day, but also, allow for reconsideration of the payment of $1,000 that would take into consideration the fact that we have an outstanding amount owed by this gentleman. I'll be glad to answer any questions from the commission may have.
It's quite a long history.
He has a history. The note I got back from the person at the Cuyahoga County Board was he tends not, let's see. It was essentially, he doesn't really, is not really good at complying with regulations. Just essentially the notice that I got back from the staff member during elections. So yes, he has a history.
Do we have a motion?
So,
We have a motion on the floor, do a second and all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. So the next group of cases, 2023 R-077 and 2023 R-5. The recommendation is $7,575 plus $25 a day of reconsideration option.
And I'll address this case and the remaining matters on the commission's agenda wherein we're imposing per diem fines. They are reflective of the number of prior matters before the commission. The fact that the response is still outstanding, different amounts between $7,500 and $75 and let's say $65.2 in the last one is based on which report was reflected as being outstanding, whether it was annual pre-general at $25 or $100 per day, and so the matter with all of these various. For all of the ones, the reports are outstanding. And I checked back with the Board of Elections. No reports have been submitted by any of these folks, so they're all still outstanding. And hopefully this will get them to come into compliance. I'll be glad to answer any other questions that the commission has as it relates to the remaining matters. I would deserve that. I apologize.
So I think it's fair.
That's very fair.
We just had that issue.
With all due respect, our main goal is compliance. So.
Forget about that.
Okay, so
For every bit of it.
do we have a motion on the two cases before us?
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2022 R-573. The recommendation is a fine of $16,675 plus $25 a day with reconsideration options. Do we have a motion?
So
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next case is 2023 R-033. The recommendation is to impose a fine of $28,800 plus $100 a day with reconsideration option. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The next three cases, 2023 R-085, 2023 R-089. This is 085. 2023 R-089 and 2023 R-099. The recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $30,300 plus $100 a day with reconsideration option. So we have a motion.
second,
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. That's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. Next case is 2023 R-002. The recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $65,200 plus $100 a day with reconsideration option.
Madam Chair, if I may, I brought up a few meetings ago about, how tiresome, in my opinion, like this is 65 and 75, $100,000, whatever. And so, Mr. Richter, I wanted to gauge, and this may not exactly be the appropriate time to have this discussion, Madam Chair, but there has to be a stopping point on these, so that a few things happen, A, compliance, or B, they get off our books. And so I have been, thinking about at what point when a violation gets so large, do we just refer it to the county prosecutor for them to either do something with it or not? I've been toying with $50,000 mark. Once it gets in that ballpark, that, this commission just refer it over to the prosecution. If the county prosecutor has, if they want to, a prosecutor doesn't have to take up a case. I would be interested to, and I'm not suggesting that we do this now, because I think it needs some vetting, some thought between all of us and you, Mr. Richter. But I would like your thoughts on that in the very, very near future. So thank you for letting me soapbox in that shape. He's really annoying me. So.
I feel like we've all I think we've all expressed
Yeah.
that when it gets to this point, how frustrating it is because we really do want everyone in compliance, but also at the same time, if they've been fined, it would be nice for them to actually take that seriously. Unless, I was looking at the $16,000 and she has 2 pages on the ICWs.
And maybe it's the way, the 50K is not the number. Does it, are there a few factors that trigger that referral? Is it the dollar amount? Is it X amount of time? Is it X amount of prior violations? Whatever. And I think, Mr. Knight, we talked about the rubric or a table, the best we can. I know some circumstances are different than others, but I would hate to know what the total number is on our books of account receivables due to the fact folks that have never nor will ever respond to this. And maybe they would be a prosecutor, or maybe not, but they wouldn't be on our books anymore, so to speak.
What is that? I mean, then it becomes an issue of are you kind of clogging up the local, that's,
Yeah.
I think it's very multi-layered in how it would be approached, because they would have to go through the referral for prosecution, to then they'd have to go through the grand jury to see if it's something that they can pursue.
Or if it's sent something, well, it's not like it does in the AG's office, because they generally won't go after it if it's under a given amount. And I guess that would be my suggestion, is have a conversation with the Attorney General's office and the county prosecutors, maybe a select few or the association, and determine how we can get better compliance. That's our goal. I'm sure they don't want a bunch of cases referred to them, or in their minds, putting it in the house. Because it's hard to get them to take those cases and prosecute. The same goes for the Attorney General's office. I mean, they've got some huge cases that they're trying to take to trial. I don't know that they want to
Right.
spend their time and energy on these. But we've got to come to some kind of a resolution.
And maybe it's not a $25 a day, where it comes down to a, $65,000 because it's been accruing for so long, or $100 a day, or whatever it is. We talked about how that, you see that come across, and you see that you're being, you have a $65,000 fine, and it becomes paralysis by analysis and overwhelmed. And we've seen someone who just came back before us at our last meeting, who literally had, was paralyzed with something. I understand what you're saying. I don't know that I contributed.
No, it's, and again, probably not the proper location for the discussion, but before we got to item number Citizens for a Safe Water Bill, I just had to say it. And respectfully, will continue to say it. Sure.
Well, but I agree with you, Mr. Fairway. There has to be some stuff coming here in by law, right? I mean, by statute, our ability is to send something to the prosecutor, correct?
We do have that though.
Right. So we have that ability, number one. It seems to me that even though there's 88 counties, the majority of these things are going to be in 5 or 6. So they're going to be in the 3 Cs. We get a lot from Summit County, some from Lucas County, right? And I guess in my thought, if prosecutors don't want to pursue it, and I agree there should be a limit, like dollar limit, what it send, but that's their responsibility. I mean, if the state, in my mind, if the statute says we can send these fines, and then the final thing is you can send it to the prosecutor, well, then that's what it was meant to do. And I agree. I mean, some may just dismiss it or they won't take it, but I would say, again, that's their responsibility. And I would think too, if we had the chain of letters that gone out, and I can't measure this, I'm just guessing, but I think if maybe we said to somebody, the next step is prosecution. If you don't pay your fines, we're sending it over to the county prosecutor. Maybe they call Mr. Richter. I don't know. But I think there needs to be a strong statement about that's what we would do. This is going to prosecution. Now, some folks obviously never answer their mail. They're not going to get it, but the other ones, I think, respond. Just a thought.
Water bills, isn't that, that's outside of sleep. So that's like a tiny little.
Lucas County, right? Yeah.
That's
Yeah, right. These water bill matters huge because we've had this a couple of times, and then we sent a matter for hearing sometime this year, I remember, and so. Did you need a motion, Madam Chair, on that?
That's the goal.
Okay, having now opined for 5 minutes on this, and thank you everyone for your patience, I will make the motion for the recommendation of the executive director.
We have a motion on the floor, so we do a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried with a vote of 7-0. The next cases will be continued for service. I will name those cases now and be continued. 2022 R-452, 2022 R-453, 2022 R-458, 2022 R-459. Rest are 2023 R- they are 059, 060, and 066. Those are continued. So the next matter of business would be that the next meeting is December 14th, 2023. That shall be our Christmas gala. Listen,
I'm very upset.
listen, everybody else has had, like, so it's gonna be me, and don't set your expectations high. I said gala just for. It's going to be.
You get my touch press.
I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know what does it look like? We have a.
We have a potentially long-ish. We've got a lot of, disclaimer and other case. Yes. So the case could go on, the meeting could go for a while. Even lunch. We have done a variety of things over the years. The most recent ones have been kind of a breakfast gathering over the last couple of years where we got together before the meeting and done it. Over the years, though, we've had lunches. We had at least one time, maybe twice, we had the night before the commission meeting. People were coming into town, and some people came in. Gala there. And so I leave that, I'll help organize. Although the last couple of times I haven't looked into anything pretty much.
So the breakfasts, what is it, area in here or meet somewhere?
We met in the, down the hall. In the,
I like that.
I love that too.
we met down the hall in the.
Is there one?
In the, it's in the.
Well, that's got such an.
It does, and, people.
It feels very
Breakfast is brought in.
Yes.
So I mean, that's what we've done.
What's the restaurant in, up on?
Christopher's.
Christopher's, it seems so Christopher.
Fine.
Yeah. Well, you can look out over the state house. And it's
What
an experience. But that's what we did last year.
Well, last year, didn't we?
Yeah, lunch.
Auto.
Just had lunch down there.
Yes. Yeah, but it was really healthy and he provided a lot of options. I would like to not eat healthy in this.
By the way, I deserve some comment about my phone, okay, but I'm about to show the chair who it was that was texting me.
Oh, so really cute.
Auto.
It was
Oh.
David.
You said we missed hosting 2 Christmas events.
Hey,
and
look,
she's
you're running
fine.
out of time.
Yeah, we could always
You
indicate.
missed it, Dennis missed it the one year, so I can invite him back and tell him.
Yeah.
There was some like garnish or one single item that was really good in that box. I remember it being very healthy. And then there was a thing and there's something really, it was like a Buckeye or something.
So, okay, so do we want to, adjourn? I'm sorry. Do we want to adjourn and have a discussion, or do we have a discussion and adjourn? Because I think First Watch sounds great. Like if people wanted to come for, I know that would make you super early, you would make it super early, but I think that sounds kind of like, it's not very gallant.
Well, can you come in?
You should put it-
It's time.
Yeah, yeah.
So moved.
So,
Second, so move second. And, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
7-0. Excellent.
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay, so what do y'all want?
What is First Watch?
It's a breakfast place. It's down on South High Street. It's across from 670.
Sounds like Baywatch.
Or no, just, well, there's one right now, South High, it's just the other side. of the state.
Yeah. I like where you're going with that.
It's amazing.
Do
Do I look like I would recommend it's a Baywatch? Quickly, it's like quickly. She's on the-
So.
They got right,
Whatever, tell me what you.
I-
They
I
do.
think-
All that's not budget is loans.
I think it's one of those things.
I don't know, it's like it's all for paying for one side.
Everybody's
But like,
everybody's
once a year.
participate.
Yeah.
And she
They
got
got
it.
off-
Yeah.
I thought I was hosting. I thought I was a host.
My opinion is share.